joys of life, and maybe it's his tea that's talking, because I had my cup of tea already today. But anyway, as Brent mentioned, my name is Tristan, and on camera I've got Sebastian once again for a rather rainy start to our day. And in the background, as you can see, that they are not, it's not just me, but there is also our three boys that have come right out onto the dam wall, and they've decided that it's time to have a little kind of peer over the dam. I believe that there was just now some elephants that were around as well that may have pushed them out from their little slumber, and now they're kind of just sitting in the rain and just getting wet, as I suppose everybody else is doing today, because it is that kind of weather where everybody is just trying to kind of find somewhere to sit, and it doesn't matter if you're in the grass or if you are on the dam wall out in the open, you're going to get wet either way. But there's a big yawn, and I wonder if they're going to be fairly active this afternoon. They would have slept off a lot of their buffalo during the course of today, and so I would think that maybe, just maybe, they might actually be in the mood to hunt. The problem is that we're right up on the northern boundary, and so that means that they could potentially, unfortunately, get going and go straight north, which will end our viewing of them. I do apologize about the pole. The pole is obviously an essential part of a rain safari. It is going to be there most of the afternoon, so I do apologize about it. I'll try and position a little bit better to help Seb just now. But what is really nice is that we've found ourselves on a situation where we can sit lower than what they are, so we're almost kind of at eye level with them, which is very, very cool. It's not every day that you can be eye level with a male lion, and so it's a nice little angle that we've got with the rain kind of falling down. Very, very pretty, and a good way to spend our afternoon, I would say. At least we have some cats. What's today? Is today Thursday? So it's Thursday today. So at least we've got some cats for Thursday, which is always very, very good. But it's amazing, when we were watching them this morning, two of them that were in the kind of grassy area, they really didn't look that big. But now that I see them kind of lying out in the open, they're actually impressive young lads. I think they're going to be quite big boys in a few years' time. Give them maybe another 2 years and those manes to really develop, and they'll be quite an impressive bunch. And there's definitely a situation where there's one blondie, which is quite typical when you have coalitions of male lions. You generally get a situation. Now there's the pole in the way, so I'm going to just reposition ourselves. Seb, give me 2 seconds so that you can get into a better place, because we got here just as Rebecca was linking to us, so I think we just didn't time things very well, but we'll get it right now. Let's have a look quickly. I just want to try and turn. So Rebecca is reminding me that it is World Water Day, and that it is wonderful that it is raining on World Water Day. No, I'm just joking. It is very good that it's raining. We obviously need the rain, and given that water is such a precious commodity these days, and everywhere seems to be having some sort of issues with water. Either so you're having too much of it, or we're having too little of it. And so having a bit of rain like this is great for World Water Day indeed. I think it's a very, very cool thing, and the fact that there is a day dedicated to water is very special. Ultimately, we are made up of mostly water, and so it's an important thing to discuss. So if you've got water questions, then I suppose today's the day. Send them through on #SafariLive or the YouTube chat if you would like to. Good. Now, our lions, I don't think, are huge fans of World Water Day. I'm pretty sure they're not so happy with all the rain that is falling, but how beautiful is that? Look at his kind of mane that's going down his chest. These guys will get really big manes eventually when they do kind of fill out a little bit. They've got quite big puffy sort of hair growth on their elbows already, and so I'd imagine when it all kind of fills out, they're going to be quite impressive lads. I'm looking forward to actually seeing how they develop, if they stay around here, or just in general to follow them. It'll be interesting to see where they go and where they end up and how it all kind of plays out. But isn't that pretty? Very, very cool. I think so. You've got the beautiful russet bush willow in the background, adding a little bit of coloration, and then our boy that's just kind of standing up in the foreground. So it's a nice little bit of color around him with the little drops of water falling as well. Very, very cool to see. Oh, he's going to the toilet. Lovely. So, Paul, the Birmingham boys would probably have to be quite near to hear them. These boys are not really making too much noise. So I think it's more a case that the Birminghams have to walk where these guys have walked and pick up their scent more than actually hear them. I don't think we're going to have a situation where they're actually going to hear them from just them sitting around like this. But if they actually start to urinate like that, and then you have a situation where I could very well pick up their scent from wherever they actually are walking, and then follow them to this area, and that could be from a very long distance. But in terms of hearing, unless these guys start calling, they're not going to hear them from very, very far away at all. They'll have to be very close in order to hear them. Very, very cool, though, at least that they're around. Like I said, it's going to be interesting if they do start to vocalize. I'm hoping that tonight, because it's going to be a rainy, dingy night, that it'll get dark quite early, and maybe that will allow these guys to try and have a little go at roaring, and maybe we'll get a situation where we'll hear them actually trying to belt it out, and we'll see whether they're brave enough to actually roar. So, Patrick, no, like I was saying, they haven't really been roaring much lately. I haven't heard them. They've been around for the last 3 weeks and I haven't heard them at all. It's not to say that they haven't roared. Of course, they could have roared quite easily and they could have roared in Buffelshoek and we just haven't heard them. Brent is my neighbor, and so things are generally quite loud around the place and don't really hear too much of what's going on. No, just kidding. He's actually not too bad. But they haven't, from what I've heard, they haven't really been roaring very much. And there comes the ellies now. Seb, can you see them? They're coming down onto the other side. I'm just going to go back a little bit so we can actually get a better view of them, because Seb's got a pole and a big buffalo thorn that's coming down. Now, I wonder what the ellies are going to do, if they're going to come this way or if they're going to decide. Hold on, Seb. I'll turn you a little bit. Just hold on. So there we go. That should be, is that all right, Seb? There we go. Cool. So it'll be interesting if they're just going to drink and then go back the way that they came, or if they're going to come along the dam wall and chase these male lions. They could very well chase these boys. It wouldn't be impossible and wouldn't be a situation where it would be improbable for them to actually come across the dam wall. Most of the time that the ellies actually come to Buffelshoek Dam, if they don't go back the way they came, then they often do come across this dam wall and move into this area. So we'll just have to sit tight and see how this plays out, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be interesting nonetheless. Either way, amazing to have two of the most iconic species of Africa in the same place. So finally, I've had a sighting at Buffelshoek Dam of elephants and a cat together. It seems like everybody else has had plenty of these sightings, and I've had a situation where I haven't seen too many things at Buffelshoek Dam, so I'm quite thrilled that there's actually ellies at the dam itself. And I didn't really expect the ellies in weather like this. I would have thought that the ellies would have not to been too worried about coming for water, but I suppose they still need it and require it. And you can see there's actually a tiny, tiny little baby there. Now that little baby is going to be something that lions could potentially hunt, and so I would imagine the mother of that baby is going to be very defensive and would want to chase these lions very far away. So if these elephants do come this way, these lions might get themselves into a little spot of bother and might get pushed around a little bit. So it looks like the ellies are slowly meandering their way along. You see how they're moving across the bank there? So let's just see. I see more elephants in the distance coming as well. So we might end up with quite a few here, which will be very interesting to see. I wonder if this isn't maybe a portion of Fang's herd, because we know Fang has been hanging around here. I would be so thrilled if it is a portion of Fang's herd. Of course, it would mean that we'd have a lot more elephants joining. That herd is close to 50 elephants, so there's a lot of them in there, but I don't see any sign of her. I just see a couple grey backs in the bushes around us, and it looks really, really like there's quite a few of them coming. So hopefully Fang will make an appearance as well. It'll be a very exciting time. I'm interested to see how these ellies go about this, because the thing is where they're walking is very steep. So you often find the ellies don't actually kind of navigate along the shoreline of this dam. It gets too steep for them, so they normally go back up and then up onto the dam wall and across the dam wall. I actually don't think that they've seen the lions yet, and probably with this rain that we've got and the lack of wind, you might find that they haven't even smelt them either. And so when they go up onto the dam wall, they might get a bit of a fright, and I can assure you that they will be trumpeting and chasing should that happen. So as soon as we see them going up onto the dam wall, it'll be an interesting situation. But for now, it's just about quenching thirst and making sure everybody gets nice and hydrated. So you see the little baby is going up, and if that little baby is not careful and it separates too far from its mom, I've seen lions go after babies like that because they are so little. Look, this lion is stalking. The lion is actually up and having a look. You see that? So the lion is trying to position itself so that maybe this baby elephant pops up, they can potentially get it. So that's really interesting. Now, we're going to have to just reposition. I want to just reposition ourselves because I don't want to be in a situation where we can't see what's going on. Now, I'm just going to keep quiet for a little bit because we are going to do a unscheduled broadcast. So hold on for 2 seconds. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to a very rainy, very wet South Africa. As you can see, we have got a standoff between two of Africa's biggest and most iconic animals. So we've got a big male lion that's busy stalking a tiny baby elephant. So there's a little baby that's sitting behind mom. The adults are busy drinking, and the little baby is wandering away from the adults every now and then, and that's why that male lion is creeping up there. It's seen that maybe, just maybe, there might be an opportunity to try run in and grab that little baby elephant, which is absolutely insane because generally we don't see lions hunting elephants very often. Now, my name is Tristan. On camera I've got Sebastian, and this is coming to you live out of South Africa, which means that you can ask as many questions as you would like to, and we'll try and answer as many as possible, and you can do that by putting them in the comments section below. Now, that male lion was sitting sleeping. He was feeling very sorry for himself with the rain that was falling, and all of a sudden, when that little baby elephant started moving up away from the herd, he got up and walked to try and position himself there. And so what he's doing is he's trying to use the wall at the moment as a way to hide him, so that if that elephant, the little baby, does come up, he's able to then rush and try and grab that elephant and try and inflict some sort of injury to the elephant before the herd reacts. And I can promise you, if he grabs that baby, the herd will go absolutely crazy, and we'll have a situation where there'll be trumpeting, stampeding elephants everywhere. So it's going to be a tense situation, and one that we need to just kind of follow and monitor very, very closely. I think he's got a bit of a cheek though, because ultimately he's going to have a bit of a problem. Now you can see that there's two of his brothers are sitting waiting at the moment and seeing what their brother is doing. So, Jason, yes, if the baby gets tackled by that lion, you'll find the entire herd will come at once to try and protect that little one and to try and look after it. So you can see, look, the lion is just peering over the top of the dam wall. It's looking for that little baby, but it is, like I say, very cheeky, because this whole herd will come running. They'll all try and chase that male lion, and what it will have to do is try and tackle this little baby to hurt it, and then try and kind of back off and then kind of keep going back and forth, and that's normally how it goes. Now, Stacy, this coalition is a new coalition to our area. In fact, this coalition is a coalition that we're only seeing for the first time properly today. So they arrived about 2 days ago, and they were floating around on our northern boundaries, and then they've just crossed over during the night, and it's called the Avoca Coalition. So they come from quite far north of us in an area called the Timbavati, and they've come south towards this area. So, Paul, there is only these three males, which is a coalition. They come from a pride that is further north of us, that is about 20 lions, or was 20 lions. Apparently they're down to about 15, but because they were young males, they were chased out by the dominant males as these guys were starting to develop and become territorial. And so what's happening now is these are nomadic boys that are trying to set up a territory, and so it's just the three of them. There's no other males within this pride. They did have a bit of a fight with our resident pride here called the Nkahuma pride, where they chased them off a buffalo kill, not last night, the night before, and that pride is actually serviced by different males. It's a coalition of 4 males called the Birminghams that normally are in this area, and those Birminghams, if they come here, are going to be very upset that these 3 are around. So, Jessica, the elephants could potentially kill the lions, but it's not easier. Remember, a lion is a very fleet-footed animal and it runs faster than what the elephants do. So elephants, if they can catch a lion, yes, they could very well kill it, and their size difference and strength could easily make it possible for them to kill a lion. But a lion is much faster and much more agile, and that means it can generally get away from the elephants before it gets close. Now, the little baby elephant is wandering off. You can see it just behind its mom. It's kind of it's difficult to see now. It's between its mom and its sibling. There it is. So that's the tiny little baby that this male was watching, and it's now been very clever. It's sitting right up against mom, and so the moment to go after that little baby is pretty much gone. This male lion won't be able to wrestle with any of these other elephants that we've got. They're all far too large for him to go after. And you can see, actually, it's quite funny. He's not even watching the elephants right below him. He's starting to watch just the elephant right in the distance. You see, look, he's not really looking at those that are to his left. He's looking at the little baby that's walking off. But he's got really no chance, and there's very few lions that will ever get hunting of elephants right. It's not something that is easy to do. And you find a situation where most of the time lions get bullied. So, Bruno, you say, wow, this is amazing. It is amazing. This is a very, very special thing. It's not something that you see every single day. You'll often find lions lying and elephants moving across, but it's very seldom that you see a lion interested in actually trying to maybe chase or hunt an elephant. So, it is a very special sighting. And having them in such close proximity is really very, very cool. And the best part about it is that we get to share this with all of you. And so, you're a part of the largest safari vehicle in the whole of the world to be able to watch this and see this coming to you from South Africa. Now, Jamie, we all, I think, are all breathing a sigh of relief that the little baby will be safe and that the lion probably won't get it. Although you can never say never. Even from here, maybe this male can cause some sort of disturbance that little baby maybe runs in the wrong direction and runs towards the other two male lions and they can grab it. But I think at this stage, we're pretty much all right. But you see, look, the elephants are walking along the bank and they might disrupt these lions a little bit. So, Stacy, you say these lions look skinny or hungry, or is it just their age? So, no, these guys are actually not skinny or hungry. They have been feeding a lot. They ate a baby buffalo 3 days ago. They then ate a bit of a buffalo, not last night, the night before. And so they've just digested a little bit through the day. It's been quite a cold day, and that means that they probably utilize a lot of their resources quite quickly. The other male that is sitting here, so not the one standing, one of the ones that is sitting, is actually quite round and quite full at the moment. So he had obviously the lion's share, so to speak, of food. But I think these elephants have now smelt these lions because they've all of a sudden started putting up their trunks. Look, you can see it's basically a face-to-face between the elephant and the lion. So the elephant is there and the lion is just on top looking at them. And you can see how that elephant was putting up its trunk. It was trying to sniff. And look what the lion's doing. The lion's going down behind that little embankment so that it can hide away, and then it can walk all the way along back towards its brothers without the elephant seeing it and therefore chasing it, because it doesn't want to attract too much attention. There, now the elephant has spotted it. You see, look, the elephant's tail has gone right out, trunk is up, ears are out. So it probably spotted a bit of the movement as well as smelt that lion, and it's reacted immediately. Let's see if it's going to come up and chase this lion. It'll be interesting. It's a very steep slope that elephant has got to go up. It's going to be quite difficult for that ellie to actually get up there, but you never know. The lion's lost interest completely now. He's just wandering off, and probably better, because otherwise he was going to get himself into a lot of trouble if he stayed where he was. Carol, no, I don't think the ellies feel trapped at the water's edge. They can move both ways, so they can either go back from where they came or towards where we are. They can also go up the bank if they should want to. You can see that they're not really too phased. It's not like they are shouting or vocalizing in any way. So I think that they're okay. In fact, two of them are having the biggest game. The two young sub-adults in the background, they are pushing each other around and having a wonderful time of playing and having a bit of boisterous teenage nonsense. So, Rick, even if lions are not that hungry, they still will go after any opportunity that comes their way. They are opportunistic animals. And so if you have a situation where they're sitting and they might even have been on a kill, full big belly, and all of a sudden, let's say a buffalo walks past, they are going to try and go after it because they don't know when their next opportunity is going to come. And so they'll take any opportunity that they can get and try and go after it. But look how cool this is. Look at him walking up towards the brothers, and we're almost at an eye level view. And there'll be a bit of bonding. Look at that little head rub. How cool is that? So lots and lots of bonding takes place between these coalition members. These guys are going to stay together, and they're going to rely on each other for the rest of their life in order to stay safe and to dominate an area and to try and secure a piece of land that they can then mate and find food. And so it's important that they maintain the bond and this sort of relationship between them by nudging up and just kind of strengthening that. So, Gloria, yes, male lions do hang out together regularly. They form what's called a coalition, and coalitions can be anything from 2 lions all the way up to 6, 7. The most I've ever heard of personally was 9, but they didn't actually stay together for a very long period of time. The most that I've seen stay together sort of throughout their life was 6 males, and even then they split up a little bit. But it is common to see what it allows them to do is it allows them to dominate bigger tracts of land, and when they dominate bigger tracts of land, they can find then more food, more water, and more females. And even though there might be, let's say, 3 in a coalition like this, they can dominate maybe 3, 4 prides because of the 3 of them, and they're able to then chase out single males or even 2 males, and they can then take over 4 prides. Each male will still get an opportunity to mate. Maraja, these boys haven't dominated a pride yet or have a territory just yet. So there's no females in this area because these males are not really accepted as the dominant males. So there was females here 2 days ago and they chased them, trying to kind of assert themselves. But because the females have cubs with other males, they're very nervous of that, and they're going to then try and keep their cubs as safe as possible. Now, look, the elephants are coming up the bank, so I think these lions might unfortunately get chased off at some point. They're going to have a situation where it's going to probably end up in them giving way. You normally find it. Now, you see the females coming up. Look at her tail going erect, ears out. She's trying to impose herself, make herself look bigger, so that the lions feel a little bit more intimidated, and you'll find the lions will give way. They know that Ellie's there we go. So there's one line up, 2 lines, 3 lines, and off they go. They know they need to head off, and it's that elephant is just so much bigger and more powerful that's why they're being chased off. There it goes. You see the elephant is just making sure it stands up nice and tall and shows the lions exactly who is the king out here and who's the biggest. And it just goes to show that in nature, size does matter. Now, hopefully our boys don't walk too far because it gets very thick inside there and we might lose view of the boys, but you can hear the ellies actually grumbling a little bit. Right, now, while our ellies sit and smell these male lions who are just getting up and moving, we're going to carry on sitting here and see how this plays out. You can join us too on Safari Live, and you can just Google that and find us wherever it takes you, and hopefully you'll join us for the rest of the safari. We're going to be out here for quite some time still, but it's been an absolute pleasure having you all with us, and we hope to see you on Safari Live sometime soon.